All right. So it is time, and it's on time yet again. Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.0. And we all know what this one is. It's about fire. But I'm hoping it's a little bit more about engineering, because they said how fire happens as well. So here we go.
Last week, we explored some of the new adventures
available
to players in space in the upcoming Alpha 4.0.
It's like really quiet.
There are even more dangers to be found within your spacecraft.
This must be on my end. It is.
Fire is blazing a trail towards its awaited debut in the persistent universe. And while we don't want to burn any bridges with the resource management team, we'll jump out of the fire and into their frying pan in just a few weeks. Wow, I really bet their ears are burning. We're fired up to give the VFX arsonists a chance to set the world on fire this week, or at least just the interior of spaceships, because we don't want them to burn themselves out playing with fire.
Too late for that.
I'm out of idioms now.
They've burned themselves out trying to get out 323 and 324 all year.
I'm gonna go see if I can add more fuel to the fire.
Pizza. Do we have mutton chops like that now? Might be new hair. Chat, this is fine. It's a community meme.
4.0 will have fire inside of ships. For our initial rollout, we didn't really want players to start fires everywhere. The poor service, they really wouldn't be able to handle it. So we decided to focus on the interior of ships. They're smaller, more contained, and more controlled. Fire is tightly integrated with the resource network system, and a great fit for a first release within the spaceships, where resource network will be focusing on as many ships as we can.
How does metal catch fire?
Starting
That's
a fire
question.
is based on damage.
I don't really care. It looks good.
Different kinds of damage.
Fires can be caused by ship items when they hit 0 health. There are also ways for ship items to cause fires in the normal running and operation of them. We're currently looking at making it so that when they misfire and they have the highest level of wear, that there is a chance that they can also cause fires.
But other types of damage, like impacts from weapons or
that has to be a dramatization. This can't be a realistic...
That they can also cause fires.
But other types of damage, like impacts from weapons or explosions, they could also ignite a fire. Another way to start a...
That looks fine, though, to me. Luke says that is a dramatization. Okay, cool. This seems like it makes sense.
Fire is getting the environment hot enough to actually get your surfaces to auto-combust. For example, if you open up your door on a really, really hot planet and the hot air starts to flow into your ship, then if that air is hot enough, and some surfaces might start igniting from that.
Seriously? I could open my door and my ship might catch fire?
You would need a room to reach, I think it's like 1,000 Kelvin for those materials to start to smoke.
So it's something that's technically possible, but it's not likely.
If the planet is warm enough, yes.
Is there a planet warm enough to do that right now?
Don't think so.
Okay, I just want to be sure. You're saying
Okay.
systemically it's possible.
Systemically it's possible, yeah.
It's technically possible.
See, it's the fucking dev speak that gets you every time. That is like, it's technically but it's not possible.
But very unlikely.
Because the what is it? The most hot moon is like 300 C. I think it's like Ariel.
Don't worry, everybody.
Maybe Pyro is different, but yeah.
Part of the fire hazard system propagation is based on the fire triangle, which is oxygen,
400,
fuel, and temperature. Oxygen is tracked by the room system, the atmosphere that is most rooms in the universe.
Okay, and then I don't know the Kelvin scale, but this is 98 C, and that's 371 Kelvin, so okay.
is most rooms in the universe have their atmosphere tracked, including oxygen. The fuels, they will be tracked on the surfaces, so every surface in the universe is marked up with a surface type. That surface type has different properties for fire propagation to work.
100 C is boiling water. Guys, what is 1000 Kelvin? It's 760 Celsius. Thank you.
The heat that is usually from a ignition source is the damage that could happen.
That looks really good, by the way. This is the pool room in the 890. It looks awesome.
But also, if you have an object already on fire, that could start a fire again based on the heat that that fire is emitting. Fire will start small if you have a small ignition point, so it will not start blazing immediately, so it will start propagating quite slowly. But if you leave it untended, then the fire will start growing, and the more it grows, the faster the propagation will happen and the larger the fire will get.
It's quite
Cool.
complicated to have a control over that much energy, heat. It's a balance. I think that's the hardest thing to get.
I mean, we still have 10 more minutes to go. It's a very simple solution to this. It should never get this far. You simply vent the room, right? We know we have engineering. Vent the room.
Having the balance, having the fire texture that works well with the particle behavior.
Your
with the
GPU will also
heat,
catch fire,
spark.
yes.
You need to have the whole feeling of heat and danger, and it's when you get this spot where it really starts to make you look certainly afraid of it that, yeah, it starts to gets good, I would say.
So I don't want people to like look at this and be like, oh my God, I'm going to be flying and this is going to happen. You're probably going to get a pretty obvious warning. And yeah, as long as you have somebody on your ship engineering, I think this is more of those reasons to bring other people on your ship. I don't think it's going to get to this insanity. I think they're trying to show it. If you let it go, what could happen? If the ship takes a lot of damage, what could happen, right? And at some point, you know, maybe your ship this will happen to it, and it's going to be overwhelming in a fight or whatever. But yeah.
Of the materials that we have marked up, they have their properties, and we can set a material to be combustible or not. Most surfaces will be combustible. A few exceptions, such as glass, will not be. But
I really feel like the metal probably shouldn't be, but yeah.
ones
fine.
that are, especially in ships,
Everything's metal, so they kind of have to be.
we decided to go for a more tech approach.
I'm told it's performant, and I've watched it on Ed's screen and saw no problem. All right, cool.
So even if metal itself will
amazing.
not easily combust, we assume that behind that metal there will be pipes and cables that can catch fire.
Okay,
Based
fair enough.
on the properties that each surface type has. For example, wood will burn different from rubber or plastic or metal. So the propagation between those will interact differently. Don't worry, like not everything will catch fire at the same time. We have these different properties that will cause different surfaces to catch fire at different times.
You have to think of the other things that can also catch fire. Things like your cargo, which you probably don't want to catch fire because if it burns out, you will lose it. Other things
Very
might
cool.
be loose ship items that you have laying around just in case you want to repair your ship.
I love
The
this.
player itself will not be able to catch fire.
Oh no, are they going to actually give us these suits? I hope so. They'll probably do it sub-item first.
But the player will feel the influences of fire in their environment. So if you step into the fire, then you will take damage. If you are near to the fire, you will feel the heat. So your actor status will start showing up with like higher temperatures. If the fire is not managed properly, for example, your life support can't feed in enough oxygen, then oxygen will be drained and your player will start to asphyxiate.
Why can't I set people on fire?
Tech.
Will you commit here and now that someday we'll set people on fire?
Stop.
Will commit to nothing.
Good.
I
Based.
tried, everybody.
People will have different ways of setting fires to ships, hopefully other people's ships, not your own. It is important to know for 4.0.
That is 100% for the show. Because this community is so stupid, I feel like they probably should have put up some sort of note somewhere. Because immediately I see people who I don't think are stupid saying, I have a feeling this is going to be a disaster. You're not dumb. You know it's not going to be like this. Come on. Come on.
0, that we will not have fire outside of ships. So if you set fire to an item inside one ship, you can bring it to another ship, given that the medium that you're traveling through has enough oxygen to sustain the fire. You can set fire by damaging items in the ship, so shooting them when an item...
So you're telling me I can light a Pico on fire and throw it into somebody else's ship?
dies that has a chance to set fire. Other ways to set fire are bringing in ignited items and placing them in someone else's ship.
Okay, Luke Presley is here. Luke, have you already created the arson law?
The biggest challenges that we recently had with fire was the networking, and Francesco has done a really amazing job.
Not yet, he said. You better start, because it's going to happen.
The presence or absence of fire is a very, very important thing to convey to players. You don't want a player stepping into a thing that doesn't look like it's burning or avoiding a thing that looks like it's burning. Synchronizing fire was a very important part of making sure that the feature functioned correctly, and we have a lot of data that fire generates, and a lot of data doesn't work well over networks. There was a lot of work being put into relying as much as possible on the fact that our fire system is stable, it's deterministic, it will always do the same thing given the same initial parameters. There were a lot of cases. There were cases of players joining in late. They obviously don't get where the fire was 3 hours ago. They just say now, they need to know where it is now. There's players who have really bad internet connectivity or servers struggling a lot, situations that bring a halt to the continuous progress of fire from one end or the other, and we need to reconcile that. So we needed a way to know when fire was no longer
Oh my God, do you guys know this meme? That's so funny.
suitably similar between what the player was seeing and what the server thought was there, and refresh it at that point and minimize how much data we needed to refresh it at that point. We are pretty happy with the way it works now. We have it so that it sends as little data as possible to sort of create these summarized states for the client and server, and only when these differ enough do we actually send that relatively big, still compressed, but relatively big snapshot to synchronize everything back together.
Can they do this for the rest of the fucking game? Can they sync the rest of the game really well?
A fire that is left unchecked will...
I am very happy that they were concerned about the fire, but what about all the other fucking desync and insane problems that we have? Those are really important too.
Will spread throughout your ship. And if it does this and it reaches your ship components,
system is offline,
then you'll be having a very bad day. And this could lead to your ship being both crippled or destroyed. So this means you...
Yeah, we're hoping more crippled than destroyed, right? Like, this is kind of... 4.0 sounds like it's the start of the end of ships exploding all the time.
You will be able to put out fires using a fire extinguisher. Where possible, we have made sure that fire extinguishers are readily available throughout our ships.
Okay.
The extinguishers, they're very simple to use. They are point and shoot. You have to be careful that you don't start flailing wildly with your extinguisher. If you have to aim at the base of your fire and then keep it there to cool down the surface and take away enough of the heat and the oxygen so that the fire calms down. There will be a temperature readout where you can see how strong the fire is still where you're aiming.
And you need to keep your finger on the trigger until it actually goes out.
We need more fuel in the extinguishers.
Just be smoking there.
You can already see that we probably need more fuel in the extinguisher.
And technically it's very close to being on fire. So you really do want to make sure it's really out before you move on. because if you just leave them smoking and then go wandering off, there's a good chance it will heat up again and catch fire again. It's worth knowing that a fire extinguisher has a limited amount of ammo within it. To your benefit, you can also take your fire extinguishers back to where they are stored, plug them in, and then they will recharge their ammo.
Badass.
However, it is important to know that if your ship doesn't have a functioning life support at this moment, the recharge will not work.
If you
Even more
leave the
badass.
fire completely untended, then your ship can completely burn out, so it will look completely black. If the life support can keep up providing enough oxygen, then it will just keep going until all of the fuel, that is the surfaces, has been burnt out.
That's interesting. So it can burn out all the oxygen but continue burning because the heat value? That's the only part that I've been a little bit like, well, I'm confused. Don't we just eject the life support from the area? Fire goes out. We're good. Like every other sci-fi game or every other sci-fi experience. Once the fuel is gone, but they're calling the surface the fuel. But it's like you need oxygen.
Or
did I misunderstand? Should I go back? I'll go back.
Leave the fire completely untended, then your ship can completely burn out, so it will look completely black. If the life support can keep up providing enough oxygen, then
I thought he said if the life support can't keep up. He said can keep up. Okay.
it will just keep going until all of the fuel,
I
that
thought he
is
said can't.
the surfaces, has been burnt out. Or if the life support is not running, then your fire will start to diminish. But if
There you go.
don't do anything, the life support will keep feeding in oxygen enough for the fire to be sustained and start spreading everywhere.
You don't
Unless the life support is burned out by the fire.
want people to put fires out?
No, I want them to die in a fire.
Whoa, what the fuck?
The views and opinions of Leo do not represent those of Platinum Pyramid Games, Private Space Industries, or its subsidiaries.
Oh,
There are more ways.
look at that. That's a radar signal. That's oxygen and water. Weapons. Engines, shields. I'm assuming that's gravity. And then I don't know. This is just general like power banks, I guess. Batteries? Batteries? Okay, and then there's your life support at the top. And then these are warnings, it looks like. Yeah, look. Announcements. Isolate. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. That is a big time improvement in what we've had. Big time improvement. I don't know what this button is. That's interesting. Doors, weapons. That's another door, it looks like. Power and emergencies. Very nice.
Ways to extinguish
Oh,
fire.
yeah, that's probably the nodes. Yeah, you're right.
With the life support and resource network.
Wait, did you see presets? Oh, yeah, probably presets on the left. Nice.
Support and resource network, you can.
Oh, wait. Yeah, let's listen to that again. He was pressing preset buttons.
There are more ways to extinguish fire. With the life support and resource network, you can cut power
Nice.
to your life support for a room.
Yeah, I saw the word preset here. Sorry. Right there. But when he pressed buttons, produced was going down and all that stuff. But I think he was turning stuff off.
Ways to
maybe?
extinguish fire. With the life support and resource network, you can cut
Very
power
cool.
to your life support for a room. And that means that there will be no more oxygen provided, which means that the fire
Bye-bye,
itself
fire.
will start using up all the oxygen and it will extinguish slowly by itself. Another way is to open up your doors to open space.
Beautiful.
And that will mean that all of the atmosphere is being sucked out into open space, and again, no more oxygen for your fire to continue. After a fire, you can repair your items or replace them. Fire can damage your interior of your spaceship. We have some very beautiful burn decals that
It looks
Francesco
really good.
and Guillaume have been working on to show you where your ship has been burnt. The visual damage to the surfaces is not something you can repair manually, but you can go to a repair station and repair your ship there, and that will get rid of all of the visual burn.
But if I want to leave it burned because it looks cool, I can do that?
Yeah.
You can do that. It persists.
But does it have any effect on the health of the ship? He was kind of unclear with that. I don't think so, but
I'm very happy with the current progress. It's been a very long road for the team to get to this point. It's amazing to finally be able to roll this out to the players.
It's amazing to work with. It's just so fun, and the results are very good and very quick. So
I'm looking forward to see what
They keep
people
talking
will
about how
do with
performant
it,
it
like
is and
what kind of
quick.
weird edge cases they'll find, and we'll probably have to fix up. But it's as long as the servers don't die because of fire, I think we will be able to deal with it.
okay.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned
learned
where
a
and
lot.
how fire will make its first appearances in the persistent universe. In your spaceships. How
Nice.
it'll spread and the dangers of leaving it unchecked. Your spaceships will burn and maybe go boom. And both how you'll put them out or potentially spread the fire to other vehicles. And I'm banking y'all might find some ways that we missed. Now don't forget the ship showdown is still underway. It's your chance to vote on which vehicles you like best, as well as send John Crew messages on social media that he legally has to respond to during this time.
Hi all, David here. The only thing I have to say about this is no. Just no. Our program will now conclude.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week. It's time to go Pyro Planet side.
Oh yeah, next week's Pyro Planet side, but is it the social one?
How do you start a fire? First, you contact
Okay.
ATC.
Yeah, I could start with that. That would be good. I could say that. I could.
How do you start a fire? Say something negative on Spectrum.
Say that. You want me to do that? Well, first of all, you start. Yeah, you call the ATC,
No, you turn on the game. There you go.
and they set fire to your ship.
Yeah, you double click the RSI launcher. That was good. I think that was a good episode. I think they pretty much covered everything. They took it further than I think we thought they would go with like being able to light something else on fire and put it in someone else's ship, things like that. Other items, loose items catching fire like cargo and that stuff is pretty cool. And the way we put it out is also pretty cool. One thing they didn't say though is how do you replenish that life support? It doesn't come out of nowhere, right? Most likely. So, eventually that might run out and you might not be able to, you might have to wear a suit inside your hangar. And we know that our life support will eventually run out in our suits and things like that. So we might actually have to think about those things a little bit. Is that good? Yeah, it sounds good to me. It's just as long as the rest of the game is good around it, right? All that stuff is super cool, but we're doing all the things that make a video game really cool without ever making the video game. Right. And that's one of the things that I'm always like, yeah, I mean, great, man. Cargo and personal hangars and all that stuff and visuals and locations and Pico Molotofs. Very cool. So why, why? And that's what we need. But that episode was pretty sick. And yeah, it's another one of those things that you can add to the list that takes Star Citizen and puts it above everyone else in terms of the crazy shit that you could do in their game, right? They're killing it from that standpoint. It's awesome. No one will ever compete with this level of like cool, but plenty of people can compete with their level of gameplay. Right. So it's one of those things where the day they decide to make the game, all of this stuff on top of that is just going to make it killer. It's just a matter of, are they ever going to do it? And I think after this year, it's been a difficult year. It's been a trying year to be excited about stuff like this anymore, because what's it going to mean, you know? So I think that's awesome. I definitely think we need to see this in our bases, in our outposts, in other places at some point in the future. But I think they're doing the right thing, starting out with ships, a little bit smaller. Let's not kill the servers, you know, that kind of thing. And I don't know, man. I am, out of everything I saw on the screen, the fire was the least exciting. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Everything I saw on the screen, the fire was by far the least awesome. That UI looked like a screen that I'm going to be staring at a lot. The engineering panel was really good. So, yeah, let's not ignore Maelstrom. Tie Maelstrom into this, and it's another step where it takes CIG to another level. But they need to think about the base level too sometimes, and I think they are, but it's just not coming to fruition. I think it really bummed people out this year, but this stuff is crazy cool at the same time. So I enjoyed that episode, and I think out of the last 3 episodes, or like the last 2 plus the one that's coming with the pyro on the surface, I think that's kind of going to be the deciding factor, the game changer for like, or it's going to, not game changer, but it's going to tell you if pyro's a game changer. You know what I mean? We saw a contested zone. It was a very, very small, condensed, lockdown kind of area. I'm really curious what they're going to do with, they're kind of going to show us the breadth of 4.0 is what it sounds like for next week. So I am very, very excited for that. And again, the game sucks right now. Really fucking bad. And a lot of people are pissed. But every week, we have something cool to talk about. And this week does not fail. That was sick.